The house on Ashwood Lane. Ashwood was a small town people only remembered if they had grown up there. Nestled between winding hills and dense woods, it looked peaceful on the surface. Manicured lawns, neat fences, and the faint scent of pine lingering in the air. But beneath that calm exterior, the town had a history people whispered about only at night. Over whiskey and stale coffee, disappearances, strange lights, and the old Ashwood house that no one dared enter. Evelyn Parker arrived in Ashwood as autumn settled in. The trees were shedding golden and crimson leaves that scattered across the streets. At 26, she had left city life behind, leaving her past in smoke and neon lights, to escape a life that felt more like a cage than a home. She had taken a job at the town library, a quaint brick building in the center, and rented a small cottage at the edge of the woods. It wasn't much, but it was quiet, peaceful. Her neighbors were friendly enough, though polite in that reserved small-town way. They didn't pry, which Evelyn liked. But there was one place she couldn't ignore: Ashwood House. It stood at the end of a narrow lane, its windows dark and empty, abandoned for decades. Locals called it cursed, haunted, or worse, though no one could agree why. Some said the last family vanished without a trace. Others claimed lights flickered inside at night, though no one lived there. Evelyn, practical and skeptical, felt only curiosity. On her third night in town, she first noticed the light. Walking home from the library, she saw a faint yellow glow in one of the upper windows. She froze, heart racing, half expecting it to vanish the moment she blinked. But it stayed. The next day at the library, she asked. "No one's been in there for years," said Margaret, the frail librarian. She lowered her voice. "Don't go near it. People who do, they don't come back the same." Evelyn laughed it off, but the curiosity took root. That night, she found herself walking down Ashwood Lane, her breath rising in the crisp air. The glow was brighter now, pulsing softly like the heartbeat of the house itself. She stopped at the iron gate. The air felt heavier, colder, as if the house itself were exhaling around her. Then she saw the door. It wasn't just closed. It was slightly ajar. She swore it had been sealed when she first walked by. Compelled by something she didn't understand, she stepped inside. The air was thick, musty, and smelled faintly of smoke. The floorboards creaked under her feet as she moved through the foyer. Shadows stretched across the walls, and for a moment, she thought she saw shapes at the edge of her vision, vanishing whenever she tried to focus. Then she heard it, a whisper. Evelyn. She froze, her name. How could it know her name? She spun around, but the house was empty. The whisper came again, closer, echoing as if inside her own skull. "Evelyn, come upstairs." Fear prickled her skin, yet she moved forward up the staircase, as if her legs were no longer her own. At the top, she found a hallway lined with portraits. Faces of strangers staring at her with hollow eyes. Her stomach churned, but she pressed on, toward a door at the far end. Inside was a room lit by a single swinging chandelier. The walls were lined with mirrors, each reflecting her face, but in the reflections something was off. Her eyes, they weren't hers. Black voids that seemed to pull at her very soul. Then she saw it. Another Evelyn standing behind her in the mirror, calm, smiling, knowing. Before she could react, the figure spoke, her voice Evelyn's own, but deeper, colder. "You're here because you were always meant to be." The mirrors flickered, and suddenly she was outside the house, standing in the yard. The glow in the windows was gone. The air smelled fresh, normal. She blinked, dizzy and disoriented, and hurried home. Days passed. Evelyn tried to convince herself it had been a hallucination, stress, exhaustion, anything. But she couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on her, following her through the town, through the library, through her cottage. Then she started noticing small things. Her reflection lingering in mirrors a second too long. Shadows moving when there was no light. Whispers in the wind calling her name. One evening, she returned to her cottage to find a note on the door. "You can't leave," panic surged. She wanted to call someone, the police, anyone, but her phone died in her hands. The lights flickered and went out. The air grew cold, suffocating. And then she saw it. The same Evelyn from the mirrors standing in the corner, watching her with those black, endless eyes. "You've been chosen," the figure said. "It's time to take your place." Evelyn backed away, heart hammering. She ran into the night, through the woods, desperate to escape. The town felt different. The streets twisted, unfamiliar. The familiar faces of her neighbors seemed hollow, their eyes empty. Ashwood itself was watching her. She stumbled onto Ashwood Lane, drawn back to the house as if by fate. The door opened for her, patient, inviting. And then she realized with sinking horror that there was no escaping. Inside, the mirrors awaited. The figure smiled, and then Evelyn understood the truth. The Ashwood House didn't just haunt the town. It fed on it. Each person who disappeared became part of its mirrors, its walls, its pulse. And now it wanted her. The last thing she saw before her reflection swallowed her entirely was the young woman she had once been, alive, human, terrified, staring back from the glass. But in her place, the black-eyed Evelyn stepped forward into the world, leaving the real Evelyn trapped, screaming behind the mirror. The house went silent once more, the windows dark. The town carried on oblivious. Ashwood waited patiently for the next curious soul, and sometimes, if someone walked down Ashwood Lane at night, they might see a faint glow in the window and hear a whisper calling their name.